Okay, hey everybody. I'm glad to see all of your faces on tonight. This is the only team call we're going to have this month, but normally it will be the second and fourth Tuesday evenings. But we were in Mexico this month. So I'm excited to see you guys on, and we're going to talk about something tonight that I feel like maybe we don't give enough attention to, but we really need to, and that is confidence and verbiage as well as conversation skills when face to face or speaking in person or meeting with someone over Zoom, or maybe it's having a phone call, because I think we do a lot of our business online. A lot of it is written or typed or kind of pre-planned, like we have a lot of verbiage examples and scripts and things like that. And I know me personally, my whole beginning of my business was built online because I moved away from everybody I knew. So it was all virtual. Everything I did was virtual from the very beginning. So I got very comfortable with what sort of scripts and verbiage and graphics and things like that to kind of expedite that process. And so meeting up with somebody or a local friend for coffee or whatever is so out of my wheelhouse in this business. It's really funny because I did not build my business in that way. I did it with strangers online. And so I've noticed that those of you, and a few of you aren't on this call, that have been meeting with friends in person or seeing them at work or meeting them for lunch or hopping on a Zoom, have just wonderful interpersonal skills that I completely lack when it comes to running my business, because I didn't build it that way. And so I just really admire that in all of you guys. And so I asked Erica, Corky, and Ruby, especially because they've had meetings with people recently, to kind of share some of their tips or takeaways or best practices when it comes to someone wanting to, meet up with somebody. What do I say? How do I present this? Or what if they ask me this? What does that conversation look like? That sort of thing I wanted them to chat about, because I'm not sure if you've seen, but both Cassie, Rainey, our upline, and me, we're doing a little giveaway this week for connecting with someone face to face. So hop back onto the Elite page after this call to find that little giveaway if you meet up with someone in person this week, whether it be a customer or potential. And I want us to hear just some of the tips that these ladies have to share with us, because I know I'm going to learn just as much as everybody else. So let's start with, I don't even care. How about Corky? You want to go first? How about share your tips and your best practice or whatever you kind of want to share about how your meetings have gone and all that.
Okay. Well, how they've gone, I'm going to be really honest. I did one last week. I just did one today. I have one set up for next week. Both of them so far, well, I shouldn't say they haven't produced, because the one is still thinking about it. But today, and this would be one of my tips, is to really listen to what they're saying to you. As far as, I went in really hoping this girl was going to, sign up, and she was retiring. So she wanted some income and all the excitement things, right? And then as I sat down with her, that was not her story. and sadly, I found out she's actually got early onset Alzheimer's. So it was kind of a very emotional thing, So that's key, I think, in remembering to listen to what their heart is saying, not what we want. Sometimes that's easier to do. I would say for me, I don't know if this is what they'll tell you, but both the other two speakers tonight, for me, I love to meet in person. I'm social, always have been. I'm a talker, if you know me at all. So one tip I would give you that I've learned is I have to really, mostly probably for me personally, I have to set like parameters. I have to be like, oh, let's meet at coffee, or let's meet on your lunch, or like when I'm speaking with them, I'm like, oh, I'm going to have an hour's time. I'm going to have an hour and a half, whatever it is, because in my mind, that makes me accountable to that for them, respecting their time. I also, for me, the reason I think I like meeting in person is, I love seeing their face, their reaction. They can see mine. I tend to be told a lot that I seem very excited, and they always kid with me like, oh, I wish you could get a little more excited. And I don't even realize I'm doing it, but like I start talking really fast and I'm doing my hands and I get so excited. And I've thought about that a lot, because I get that even when I'm doing the rodeo, when I'm talking with businessmen, they're like, I wish you'd get a little more excited about the rodeo. So I know that's part of my makeup, but I think I've thought about it, and I think for me, that's coming from a place of such belief in what I'm doing, whether it's the rodeo or of my plexus. I believe in it that much that I get so excited because I know I'm going to be able to help that person. I know I have an ability through the products or the offer to help them change things, and I get excited about that. I also think that in person, they see the authenticity of you. They also, I think, can see how relatable you are. Like I really try each person I'm meeting with to be a little bit of a chameleon in that I want to be able to be relatable to them, but I do it in a very authentic way. I wouldn't say, "Oh, Erica, I have 3 kids at home too." I mean, I wouldn't do something like that, but I'd be like, "Hey, I'm a grandma. I was a mom. Here's what I've done." That kind of thing. Be relatable, but in the most real way. And then I think for me too, I think that when you listen to what they're saying, you can then have that key in your head to go. And if you have the belief and your products and the offer, then you're like, oh, okay, this is how I can help. And let them speak and then say, here, do the feel felt found. That's always really great. But I just find sometimes I don't even get that formal because I'm just not a formal girl. So and I always am like this to someone that they'll ask me something, I'm like, I'm just gonna be honest with you. Yeah, it works, but I don't think you should. I've actually like told numerous people, I don't think you should do it because in listening to you, you aren't committed to this. You aren't going to take the products. You're telling me up front. So why are you going to even spend the money? When you're ready, I'm here. So, I mean, I think that sometimes that shocks people because they're like, you're not going to try and sell it to me. And I'm like, no, because there's no point. You're not going to be happy. And I want you to be happy when you're ready to do this. So I think that's good. I will say this, the visit I had last week taught me something that I had not learned yet. Gosh, it was unique. I ended up being with this woman for 6 hours. I knew it was going long. I had no idea. I got to my car, it was 6 o'clock at night. Yeah, yeah. My husband was not happy. Ooh, it was not good at my house that night. Um, and as it went on, it became very involved and way beyond plexus. And I was like, okay, Lord, I know I pray every day to be an instrument. Let me say what needs to be said and do what needs to be done for the people I come in contact with. By the end of this, the one thing, and I've heard this before, and I know this is, we're not counselors, right? We're not. I'm not qualified to do that. I wouldn't even want to do that. That's way too heavy. But um, whew, there are things going on in her world that, yes, plexus can help. There's things going on that she's got to really work on herself. But that whole thing about setting a parameter, whoa, that really was reiterated to me because when I walked away going, that was just 6 hours out of my life. I'm never getting back, I mean, and she obviously needed it because when I walked away, she cried a lot throughout the whole thing, which was interesting in a public restaurant in our little town. But Kelly's laughing. But she literally said, will you pray about this for me? I really think this could help me, but I need to pray on it. Sure, I can pray about that for you. And she told me that she feels like she has no one and that she has no person and that she felt like I was her person because she was telling me things she had never told anybody. And that's what I mean by it became very involved. And it was a lot. So I really think being key to yourself about that parameter thing is really good. And like I said, realizing that we can help people to a certain point, but we're not a counselor. We can't fix their world. And that's kind of how that felt a little bit like she needed someone to fix her world. And so I've been praying really hard that whatever's best for both of us, because I'm not sure how much I need of that in my world. I'm not saying I wouldn't help her, but there's that. And then, like I said, I just am always, and with her, this is nothing. If I get a lot of negative objections, which, I used to get scared of objections. Now they don't faze me because it's like they're trying to learn more and it's given me the opportunity to give them more information. But I've learned to frame that stuff in a positive manner. Like even with this girl as her world's falling, I'm like, well, possibly this. And I was trying really hard not to be a counselor to her, just to give her like information that she could come to her own conclusions. And normally that's how I try to handle it when it's even just about plexus, so that they feel that ownership of taking that choice on. And I usually, the first thing I do is thank them when we sit down. And that's kind of how I always start it. It's like, gosh, I just want to thank you for sitting down with me. I get so excited when I get to meet with someone, because, it just means to me that I have the opportunity to maybe help you change what's going on. So what I first want to know is, I either will say, like, what are your health goals, or what are your top two? And then I just go into everything from there. So that's enough. Someone else can talk.
I love that. Thank you for being so open with how your conversations have gone.
Yeah.
And one thing that I want to revisit that you said was the feel, felt, found method.
Yep.
That some of us might have heard, or it might be a good refresher.
Yeah.
But it's a really good way to connect with someone
It
who
is.
has a specific concern, or maybe brings up an objection, or is saying, I really struggle in this area of my health, and this is how it spills out into the rest of my life. Whether it's like not being there for their family, or not showing up well at work, or not, performing their best. I have a gal who's, getting her master's right now, and she's like, I cannot focus on studying, or I'm sick all the time, so I can't show up for work, whatever. And relating to that in the, like, I absolutely understand how you feel. I felt that way, in this way, or I know someone who also felt that way. So even if it's not you personally, because it's not like we can all have every single ailment that plexus touches on, right? There's so many things that none of us will ever experience, but pulling on either your personal experience, like I used to feel that way too, or gosh, my friend Erica also used to feel that way. But when we started plexus, we found this. So feel, felt, found is a really wonderful way to kind of bring in their experience, make it relatable, that they feel seen and heard, and also come on the other side of it with a lesson or a finding or a learning or whatever. Just some hope that can change. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. And I think it is one thing really good that I also learned just meeting with people over Zoom or phone calls or whatever, is to set those boundaries of, this is what I'm here for. Like, I'm here to spend time with you. I'm here to meet you for coffee, or meet you for lunch, or hop on the phone with you, or do a Zoom with you about whatever. But this is also time that I'm like taking away from my family or my job, or, whatever. Right. And so understanding that, like, I have a 30-minute pocket of time, or I'm going to set a boundary that this isn't going to go beyond an hour or whatever, and making sure that, the questions that need to be answered get answered, and the next step is put in place. Right. So those are just two things that I was like, those are so important, setting boundaries, because people often don't have someone asking how they're doing. I mean, how often is someone coming to you being like, Emily, how are you feeling today? How is your mood? How is your energy? Are you sleeping well? Like, nobody's asking me that. Right. And so a lot of people don't have anyone to tell that kind of stuff to. But what's great is we can be that connection for someone, and we have products that will help them in those areas. But it can often be us as the only one to be that for someone.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful that they can trust us enough to share those things. But if you're like on a 6-hour lunch date with somebody, and be like, okay, so here's our next step. I want to talk to you another time, like setting that boundary. So those are just like kind of a few things that I pulled out from what you said, Corky. I was like, those are really good things to note. And also to sort of raise your level of professionalism also, right?
I have found with me too, Allie, like that whole setting up the parameters, or like how I'll say, like, I have this much time. The other thing is, because I am a talker, and everybody knows that, pretty much, that knows me at all, I'll say, you know what, me and you, when we get together, or, and then I'll say, so we have an hour, so let's go through the plexus stuff, and then whatever time we have left, we'll just have girlfriend time. And that way they know that we're going to talk business first, and then whatever time is left. And then I'm like, oh, okay, your hour's up. I'm sorry. I'm ready to go.
Gotta go.
Because I don't, again, respecting their time and yours.
Absolutely. Circling back on it. Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Corky. That is helpful. And I think there were some helpful lessons in there that everybody can kind of learn from. Next, I'd love for us to hear from Ruby. I have been very impressed by Ruby, you guys. She is working towards senior silver this month, and I'm very confident that she'll be getting that. And I met with her and a potential at the time over Zoom the other night. and I got to see her in action. And that gal ended up signing up later that evening, I believe, right? Or first thing in the morning, I think it was later that evening. And this gal was someone she had already talked to in person, and she was like, all right, what's next? What do I do next? And I'm like, Ruby, way to go. Like she just like prepped this conversation. All I really did is come in to reinforce what she had already been saying, you know? And so I'd love for her to share her tips next.
Oh, thank you so much, Ali. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot to like Corky. One of the things that I feel like when I start off the conversation with anybody, so I feel like Corky has scheduled her appointments. I actually haven't. It's just that people that I meet, and somehow in the conversation, either I'll start talking about, we'll just start talking about like how, like life is going right now with like food prices and things like that. And then me being a nurse, and I've been talking to a lot of nurses, just talking about just in general, like our health. And I think that's where I sparked the conversation. And a lot of the times they'll ask me like, oh, like you look like you've lost weight, or like you look like something, like I feel like that's what they notice first. And so then from then on, I will just start talking about like, like I hate to say this, but like I found this supplement and it's been helping. But the first thing that I say is that, it's not a weight loss thing. It's not a quick fix thing, because that's not what I'm here for. I said, but it's something that it helps because the food that we have now is just so bad. So I think just connecting with them in that sense of what they're going through, like them seeing their own health struggles and things like that. I feel like when I start to talk about stuff like that, it kind of opens up their mindset and be like, oh, like I also have this. Oh, I also have this. And then we start talking about food and how like food affects you and things like that. And I feel like that's where I feel like I get the connection from. And because I feel too like I nerd out on these things and I love it so much that I like start talking about like, can you believe like now there's like this whole new field of science where it's like food and medicine, and then food and your mental health and things like that. But just like Jorge said, like really just listening to them. I feel like that's the one thing, like as soon as they say something to me, I'm like, how can I connect with them? And I don't do it intentionally. I just feel like that's how I am. I'm just like, oh my gosh, yes, this, or oh my gosh, yes, that. So I think that's one way. And for example, the last time I connected with those two people, yesterday that I told you, it was over lunch, and we were talking about something else. And so I turned over to my friend and said, you know what? It's really weird because all of a sudden, like they're talking about just money and how nursing is getting so hard. And I was like, yeah, it's getting hard. And I was like, that's why I feel like I fell in love with this industry, like network marketing. And they're like, what do you mean network marketing? And that's how I opened up about Plexus. And I said, this is my journey. And I started to love it. And then the lady said, oh, she's like, I have issues too. Like, I'm interested. So just finding those little key moments to see like where they can open up and then where you can connect. And that's what I've been seeing lately.
I love that, how natural she introduces it into conversation, because I think sometimes we're like, I want to say something, but I don't know what to say, or I don't know how to phrase it. And I love that Ruby is a nurse, because that is like so far away from anything I would ever be good at. And I just appreciate her knowledge and experience and all that. And so it's wonderful that she's a part of our tribe, just that little piece of that.
Thank you.
I really appreciate her perspective. And, she's working with and around people in the medical field all of the time. And so hearing the way that she can kind of relate Plexus and everything we do to all the conversations that she's having with her friends and on the job and all of that. I just love that. And, just at lunch with her, buddies and coworkers, she's like, you know what, this is what's awesome about that. And stuff is getting super expensive. And that's why I'm so excited to be starting this whole Plexus business, because it's flexible and lucrative, and all that stuff. I just think that keeping our eyes and ears open for opportunities like that, to just kind of shoot our shot, right? Like throw it out there. Is anyone interested? Is it going to be a conversation starter, a point of interest for somebody? It might be. And, for the gals that she was just speaking to, it was. And so not being shy about introducing it in conversation and having the courage to bring it up, because people really need what we have to offer. So thank you so much, Ruby. I'm so impressed by you. What were you gonna say?
No, I was like, I think that's what it is. It's just like knowing genuinely that people need it. And then also being able to really represent the product because and I think that's what I get. And I think I've told Erica too, it's like, because it's really changed me, I hold on to that so that you can be as authentic as possible. Because it's so hard to be inauthentic nowadays. People can smell that right away.
Oh, absolutely. When I
Yeah.
was first starting Plexus, one of our far uplines, if you guys know the McCalls family, they are phenomenal people. And I remember something that they said on a training or something, and it was, people can't argue with genuine enthusiasm. If you are super excited about something and what it's done for you and what it can do for them, like that is best case scenario. You know what I mean? Like nobody's going to argue with the way that you feel about something. Like that's your own opinion and your own emphatic response for what products have done for you and what they can do for other people. Right. And that goes along with, we always used to say, be a product of the product, right? Not that you need to take every single product. I don't take every single product. I don't have every single ailment. But I use and love my products and I work with my products for my body so that I can feel confident in my personal testimony. And I know what the products I love are doing for me, because I take them every single day. Right. And so that's also super important, being that product of the product. Like Ruby said, people start to notice, oh, you look more vibrant, like you've lost weight or you look happy. People would say that to me all the time, or you're glowing. Or one thing people started saying to me recently, which is so bizarre, is that I have nice skin. And that is like nothing I have ever been said to me in my entire life. I had horrible skin my whole life. And so just like in recent years, it's very funny with the onset of like using Joyome and using collagen and like, I'm like, that is for real. Like that is totally changing my skin because I had garbage skin that was very acne prone and sensitive and all the things before. But that goes to show, like, I tried products, used them, and have used them for an extended period of time and now have a testimony because of it, right? So I love that you mentioned that too. And I know, Corky, that happened to you in the beginning. People used to say, you look like you've lost weight, or you look happier, or, you look like you're in a good mood or whatever. People truly do notice, and your confidence changes. So remembering to be a product of the product and bring that enthusiasm into the conversation is key as well. But last up tonight, to share her experience with how her meetings have gone is Erica. So I will let you have the floor, Erica.
Can I introduce someone really special first?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, you guys. My friend Mary is here. Mary, give a whoop whoop, hello.
Whoop whoop. Hi, everyone.
I actually teared up a little bit. I am so excited, you guys, that my friend Mary is here tonight. She is launching her Plexus business on Thursday. We're like purposefully building and building and building since last week, like official launch on Thursday. And she'll be hosting an event, and she's already got tons of people in her event and a lot of people that are like seriously interested. So the momentum is building already, which I'm so thrilled about. But I just have to say that Mary, talking literally about what you guys were just talking about, someone who is incredibly genuine is Mary. She's a teacher at my kiddos' school. She was at our church for a long time. She just has a really genuine heart for the Lord, genuine heart for people, and really desires health for herself and her family, and just some financial flexibility. And that came through in her posts lately, and is continuing to just like totally draw people to her. So Mary, I'm so glad you're here tonight. I'm so
glad I got the invite.
So can I share a little bit about our interaction just over this last week, Mary, and how that's kind of gone down? So I've met with a handful of people actually, but I'd love to share just a little bit about how the interaction with me and Mary has gone. And it actually started with like a totally off the cuff conversation on the playground after school. So she is in charge of aftercare for a couple of the days a week when my kids are in aftercare at their school. And she was commenting on how Allie was just in Mexico. So Mary follows Allie on social media and saw that she was in Mexico. And I'm like, yeah, and Paul and I are going on a cruise to Haiti in November. And like, it's so exciting. And she kind of made an off the cuff comment about like, I would like to do that, and I looked at her straight in the face and said, well, you could do that. If you really want to, you could seriously do that. And I thought it was a little bit of a like, like maybe she was just sort of joking. I'm not totally sure. But I followed it up with a text later that night. And because Mary has actually been someone who has been a faithful believer in Plexus while she hasn't been a faithful user of Plexus for a couple of years now. And when she's using Plexus products, she always feels really great, but she's not able to use them all the time, finances, and just like difficult to commit and all of the things. And it's like, we've all been there. Allie knows because I quit twice before I actually did it. But Mary, in that interaction via text, I just like spoke truth to her that I have seen for a long time, and that it was just the perfect timing, and the receptivity was there, and she just jumped on the opportunity. And we found some troubleshooting and different things to make it work for her to be able to launch her business this month so that she could utilize the double credits to try and earn the Dominican trip. And if she doesn't earn it, say la vie, but like launching now is so great too, with all of these changes that are coming down the pike for all of the Plexus like corporate things that are coming down, just like on Tuesday or Monday next week, that are really big, amazing things for ambassadors and for the whole company. And so I just encouraged her, like, if you can, let's not wait. Like, let's go ahead and do it. And she jumped on that opportunity. And I feel like my confidence in those interactions has really grown over just even the last few months. I would say since January, kind of recommitting to, if I really want to do this, then like I have to actually do it. I have to actually be bold in the ask. And if I really believe in this company and the business model, then why am I not sharing it more confidently? And so since then, I've met, goodness gracious, with so many people that they're not just random people. They're not just like anybody who needs gut health. They're people who I would want on my team. So someday when I have my own team retreats and when I have my own, team and team name and all of the things, that could be, that those are the people that I want to do this with in the long term. So I have sought out relationships with people who I really super admire, not just in their, their morals and their ethics and all of those things, but in their work life. People that I know that get the job done, that can be relied upon. So I've had multiple lunch dates with a gal. I've had coffee dates with a handful of people, and all just like, what are you doing right now? Do you want to go get coffee? Like, what are you doing next Tuesday? I've got an hour, like Corky was saying, like put the thing, because I have committed to doing stuff for my family and different things around the house or whatever. Like, I can't spend all my time socializing. Paul thinks I'm just like socializing. But I swear I'm not. I mean, I am.
Networking, Paul. It's networking.
It's really fun. It's really fun because these really are people that, like, if they made the choice for their health and their finances and for their family, these are the people that I want to work with long term. And someone, I don't know, one of the trainers, I don't know, I listened to so many trainings, but like, they were really encouraging us to not actually propose the business to like anyone and everyone. While absolutely, yes, putting out posts and everything. But like, if I really want to work with someone, to like really seek them out, not because I'm trying to like make a buck off them, because that's not at all. I could just find a bunch of customers if I wanted to do that. But people that I really super want to work with and that I think would do amazing and that I think would really change their family dynamic in a way that they want because they've shared enough with me, or, you know, I've seen enough of their posts or whatever. So, you know, like really seeking out those and then asking them about like what their goals are. Like, would you ever want to do something like this too? Like, hey, I've got a business opportunity or whatever. My friend who's a civil engineer in Colorado, she was like a silent sharer. She would like share with her cousin and share with her sister and with her coworker. And all of a sudden she had all this money in her Plexus wallet. And she was like, where'd all this money come from? I was like, from you ding dong. You shared it with a bunch of people. And she was like, really? I said, yes. Would you like to do this more? You know, like, would you like to have this be more purposeful in your, oh, hey, Paul, he's shirtless. If they would like, you know, this kind of thing for their family, like her job was super stressful, and she really wants something that just gives her more flexibility in her life so that she doesn't have to literally schedule when she can sleep. So those sorts of like, once you know enough to like, if you really wanted to do this, you would be amazing. And I'm there to help you. Allie's there to help you, my whole team. And just like offering, here are the resources that I have available. I can meet with you tonight. I can meet with you tomorrow. When's the best time for you? How can I help you? What would you like from me? Here, you know, here are things that I see, but if that's not what you want, that's fine. It's your business. So kind of quirky, like what you were saying, it's ultimately up to them, whatever they choose, but also like just enough of a push. And I told Mary that kind of last week, like, I will push you just enough. And if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it, but like pushing just enough that if this is what you want, here are some ways to make that happen. And we can work together to make it your own thing. I don't know. Did I go over? I went way over time. Sorry.
No, that is awesome because I'm always listening for little like nuggets of wisdom that are so good. And I feel like everything you said was fantastic. I think a theme of what we're talking about is to not bring our own agenda to the conversation, right? Really listen and truly see what would be beneficial for them in their life, whether it is a health story or a business story or a little bit of both, and allowing them to kind of lead in that respect, but also being the person that can offer solutions and maybe challenge them where it feels appropriate, but being intentional with those conversations. And I love that you've pursued people that you see a lot of potential in, that you want to partner with, that you see could really benefit from both the products and the opportunity. That is key. I mean, that's definitely, you know, working smarter and not harder, right? We shouldn't be pursuing all the people all the time. Really direct your efforts at the people that you feel like you're able to make the most impact with, but also will be able to receive and, you know, make the most change in their life as well. Being really intentional about that and then offering them the space to kind of tell you what their needs are, right? And guiding them in that and discovering what that motive might be for them, whether it's in their health or their business. And Erica, I've seen you do such a wonderful job at being intentional at like the people you're partnering with now. Like it's just wonderful because I think that those intentional partnerships are really a lot more fruitful because they're people that we truly have sought after because we want to be around them and partner with them. And maybe we have the same morals and values or work style or, you know, grittiness about us, right? Like maybe we go about accomplishing goals in a similar way. And that's what makes this so fun to be a part of, because we get to build the community that we want to create. Like we get to invent whatever type of community culture we want on our team. And if you want to invite all of your best friends to do this with you and really pursue them, then absolutely go do that. And another thing I heard you say is sort of allowing them to almost receive some of your belief in them. Because I think a lot of times when we start, especially opportunities like this or anything new, or someone's offering us something that we're like, I don't know, I'm a little unfamiliar. We don't have a lot of belief. We don't have a lot of knowledge. We don't know how our little puzzle piece fits into that, right? And having someone in a confident and eloquent way and very enthusiastic way share their belief with us is really, really powerful. Because just like I think not a lot of people are going around asking each other how they're truly doing and how they're truly feeling and how they are measuring up against what goals they might have set for themselves. I don't think people are going around pouring belief into each other very much either. And so hearing words like that from someone who I'm sure the admiration is reciprocal, hearing that from someone is really, really powerful and building and belief building for someone and confidence building, that probably produces a lot of trust, because if someone's going to take the time to sit down and meet with you and lay out why they think you could be so good at this opportunity, or how your life might benefit or your family might benefit from the products, really taking the time to pour that belief into someone can be really powerful. So,
Can I say just also that I haven't enrolled anybody this month. And for me, which is like, I don't think I've ever had a month where I haven't enrolled anybody ever since starting this. And I only enrolled 2 last month, which is also very low for me. I'm usually like 3+. And a while ago I was like, this is not serving me. It's actually like, I feel like a hamster in a wheel, like, oh my gosh, over and over. And that I decided to actually purposefully focus a lot of my energy on, you know what, I really want a team. I want to do this with people. And so diverting a lot of my energy, and that means that maybe I won't like win all of the things and I might not make all of the contests, but for me at this point in my business, I'm really looking forward to that. And so I'm focusing more on customer service and serving the people that I do have and enrolling people who really do want this. Like you said, Corky, like not basically trying to convince people to enroll, like people who really want it and need it, and are prepared to do this for the long haul, and also looking for business partners. And instead of just like, who needs got help? Anybody?
Absolutely. That setting of the standards of this is something that is going to be a lifestyle change for them. It's going to produce amazing results with time and consistency and commitment. So making sure that that commitment is there. And on the flip side of the opportunity piece of things, sure, if you would like to come in and make $500 in the next 6 weeks and just kind of like sprint through it and then leave, then I guess you can do that if you want. But you're missing the long-term value of what this opportunity can really be, and if someone is truly interested in what this opportunity can provide for them and their families, then it is definitely a marathon. There are sprinting seasons. Absolutely. You'll do a sprint here and there, but it is, an ongoing, drip campaign on everyone in their network, right? It's an ongoing customer service strategy to bring people in and then keep them, doing well on their products. And it's an ongoing process of networking and all of that. But the coolest thing is all that consistency compounds over time. And so that is the coolest thing, that the trajectory of your business over time on the long haul, when you've stayed consistent, is this beautiful upward trajectory that offers, so much flexibility and kind of financial margin. Because I think in the beginning, we work really hard to get started. And it's kind of like that plane on the tarmac analogy. Like the plane uses, I'm going to screw this up, so I'm just going to warn you right now. But right, I'm just going to warn you. Like a plane is going to use so much of its fuel and turn its engines on as high as it can to just get going and launched up into the air. And then it uses a small fraction to just maintain that altitude for the rest of the flight. But the bulk of the energy is spent just getting off the ground. And your business can feel that way. Even starting the products can feel that way. It's change. It's starting new habits, it's incorporating new things. It's maybe doing new activities you didn't do. It's talking to new people. It's making new connections. It's learning new process. It's all this stuff that kind of feels hard. And you feel underpaid for the amount of effort it takes in the beginning. But then you start to get really good at it. and the stuff becomes habit, and the conversations become really familiar, and the troubleshooting becomes really familiar. And a lot of your conversations start to be very similar, and you get to know the products like the back of your hand, right? You get to share the products, you get really good at sharing the products, and you can share about them really confidently and recommend them to everybody. And all of that effort has really led you to the point where, wow, you look down and you do have a team, and you have people sharing, and you have a ton of customers, and they're all ordering, and now you're like, whoa, I'm still only doing like the same amount of work I did in the beginning, but now I'm like grossly overpaid for the amount of work that I'm actually doing. Like, it's an interesting tipping point where like in the beginning, it feels like you're sort of underpaid for the amount of work you're doing, but then you cross that point where you're like, whoa, this paycheck is insane when I only like did, you know, this handful of hours of work this week, you know? But because it's all that learning and prepping and producing that you did in the beginning, right? And so this is like a really great way to learn as you're earning in the beginning, and definitely be able to provide a limitless amount of financial margin for your family for as long as you would like to stay with it, you know, which is very, very cool, and something that I definitely appreciate about this business, being in it for 8 years now. It is absolutely a marathon and not a sprint, although there are like a couple months like in the beginning of a contest, right? Like right now we've got double credits for Leaders Retreat to earn a trip to the Dominican Republic. So you bet your bottom dollar I'm trying to like help everybody and their mom share with all their friends, because like I am sprinting right now. Will I be sprinting like over Thanksgiving weekend when I'm with my family? Absolutely not. You know, like that is the cool thing about this business. Am I going to be sprinting like during Christmas? Probably not. But right now is a season for that. And so kind of understanding that as well is important. I got really sidetracked, but what you guys were saying made me think of that like being really intentional and choosing where to put your energy is going to pay off in the long run, and committing for the long haul is like a huge thing. Like we cannot stop before that consistency has compounded. Because often when we feel like we're doing all the things and nothing is happening, and we're still doing all the things and nothing is happening, it's because we're right at like the precipice of that tipping point when the big momentum is about to start. And that's usually what Q4 is. Q4 is usually that like prep and training and seed planting and watering and all that stuff. But you know, when after people pay for all their Christmas gifts, what they're thinking of next? New Year's resolutions themselves. How can I give back to myself? How can I pour back into myself? How can I, you know, either commit to a wellness routine, or how can I start saving more money because we just spent a bunch over Christmas time? How can I, you know, make more money for my family? So right now is like the seed planting, watering season. And the more people that we can welcome into our tribe and help them start sharing, like the better off we are to really ride that wave of momentum come end of year, beginning of Q1 kind of thing. So I wanted to kind of round out our conversation about conversations with the tips that Phil Jones gave us, the author of Exactly What to Say and Exactly How to Sell. What he told us while we were in Mexico, it's a little snippet of his presentation. It was like an hour-long presentation, but a piece of it I think is really valuable when we are talking to people, especially face-to-face. He always says the worst time to think about what you're going to say is in the moment that you're going to say it. He always says, think about the crucial conversations that you're going to be having. Think about the meetings that you're going to be having. What sorts of questions do you want to ask? How do you want to connect with them? What is the outcome you want to have on the other side of that? And what's the process to get you there, right? His books are phenomenal. I need to re-listen to them because they're so good. But what I'm going to do now is share my screen, and I'm going to tell you right now, I'm nervous to put it on full screen mode. So I'm just going to have you look at my YouTube screen. Can everybody see this? I'm just going to play it from here because I don't want to screw it up. So hopefully you'll be able to hear this, but this is on Cassie and Kyle's YouTube channel. So if you want to see the whole training, the whole hour training is there, but this is just going to be, I'm going to play like about a 10-minute snippet that we will listen to together.
First one. Where did the rest of my questions come from? Which meant I had to do what? Possibly the most underrated skill to exist in professional salesmanship is our ability to listen. Let's just take a look at the words again. Look at it. It has an L, an I, an S, a T, an E, and an N in it. Here's another word. It has an L, an I, an S, a T, an E, and an N in it. Coincidence? Well, yes, actually. Makes one heck of a point, right? So many of you are slowing down the process in your organization because what happens is you show up and you throw up. You don't take the time to be able to listen to what it is that's really going on. In fact, for fear of being salesy, you become sales prevention officers. You stand in the way of the success of your business. Slow the process down, leave the space for other people to talk. Many people will talk themselves into exactly what you're hoping to if you give them enough time to be able to do so. You don't cut them off. Here are some precise words you can use to encourage people to talk about themselves. You might want to write these down and get some are quite difficult to spell. There was like that. Really? Uh-huh. What do words like that say? They say, keep going. They say, tell me more. They say, I like this. Has anybody seen the movie Shrek? In the movie Shrek, Shrek says, ogres are like, because they have, people be the same. We have layers. Yet we live in such a fast-paced world that we've become so efficient with language, we fail to be effective. I've seen it with direct sellers over the world that an opportunity presents itself and inbound comes the 355-word text message with link to subscribe. The best games of tennis are the ones with the longest replies, correct? Where it goes. You want to up-level your conversational competence, allow it to go boom, 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 boom. Would you like to know the #1 reason clients and prospects ghost you? They didn't ghost you. They didn't know how to reply to your complicated question. One of the biggest reasons that text messages don't get replied to? Because there was more than one question in the text. Well, there wasn't a question mark at the end of said text message. Crazy, right? Yeah, everyone's ghosting me. I mean, they hate me. They're so mean. No, they're just busy. Life goes on. If a text doesn't get replied to promptly, a direct message doesn't get replied to promptly, then where does that direct message or text message find itself 3, 5, 7 hours later? Read and off the first screen. The person isn't ignoring you. They just didn't find your question easy enough to answer, or it wasn't a priority to them at that moment in time. Take responsibility for the quality of your questions. What you can then do is you can increase the levels of engagement. Learn to write better questions. What kind of questions do we need to write? A question framework, in my mind, should follow a very precise order. Any given environment you're stepping into, you want 3 ingredients, just 3 critical ingredients to be more influential in any conversational moment. We touched on the first earlier. It's to start from a position of curiosity. Because if you don't, you're starting from a position of certainty. If you'd like to create certainty in a conversation, certainty in a belief, certainty in an outcome in somebody else, certainty is not the tool to get you there. Certainty creates uncertainty. Ever been in a conversation with somebody who's so sure of themselves? They have that I know best mentality. They want to tell you how things could be. And then they have this high levels of confidence bordering on arrogance. And you're like, really now, huh? Your inside voice wants to say, I'm going to prove you wrong and I'm going to do everything I possibly can to get a fight against your ignorance. True or true? If you want to create certainty, curiosity will get you there. When you stay curious for long enough, you dance towards this next ingredient, one of empathy. Empathy is like a buzzword right now. People are throwing it around, still without true understanding its meaning. Best definition I've ever heard for the word empathy comes from a speaker author friend of mine by the name of Jon Acuff. And Jon Acuff describes empathy as to care about what the people you care about care about. I can't do better than that, so I'm going to borrow Jon's definition. See, there's a button that lives inside the head of every decision maker on the planet. It's a button that I call the show me that you know me button. The second you can trigger the show me that you know me button, no longer is it you versus them. It's you and them versus it. That is different. Many moons ago, people would talk about sales excellence. It's like, I won the deal, I won the client, I won the business. If you are the winner, what does that make the other person? Something most people don't choose to be. What we're actually looking for is two winners. How do you get two winners? Where you choose an obstacle or a mountain or a goal or an opportunity that is outside the decision. You're in the business of helping people feel better, look better, live better. Describe what better is to them in their world, and all of a sudden you're on the same team. You're helping somebody get prepared for a wedding. You're helping somebody to have more energy around blank. You're helping somebody to be able to feed their kids. You're helping somebody to be able to give up the day job that they hate. I don't care what it is, but that's the goal. Not making rank, not even making money. Because you know nobody wants more money, correct? Nobody. They want more money because you're in the business of helping motivate people about money. Find the because. If you didn't spend the extra money with them, for them, on something that matters for them, they will not run towards it. Spend the money so you know what the money means to them. When you've been empathetic for long enough, it dances us towards this third ingredient, one of courage. Now, I'm not talking about go to war courage, climb a mountain courage, jump out of an airplane courage, different type of courage. I'm talking about the courage to just ask. Finish this sentence for me again. If you do not ask, you do not get, you do not receive. No, see, asking though is the only thing that drives action. Your success is in direct correlation to the quantity of quality ask that you make in your life, period. Yet if you just run out in the world asking for what you want, what are you? You are pushy, you're obnoxious, you're self-serving, you're a liar. If by alternative though, what you do is you ask curious questions to understand context. Then you ask a series of empathetic questions to become relatable. And then you have the courage to ask big, bold, action-focused questions to drive the change you're looking for. What are you now? Now you're on the same side. Now you're consultative. Now you're a friend. Now you're helpful. Now you're winning together. So my ask of all of you is to start doing more of this. Stop just counting the conversations you're having. Start making more of those conversations count. What do I invite you to remember? Worst time to think about the thing you're going to say is in the moment you're saying it. Get ready for the critical conversations in your life. Curiosity is the fuel to great conversations. So if you're looking to have a difficult conversation, start strategically curious. Remember that people do things for their reasons and not yours. So if you're ever giving advice, preface the ask with the words because of the fact that you said it. Because of the fact that you said blank, blank, and blank, for those reasons I've recommended you blank, blank, and blank, your conversion rate will go through the roof. And remember, it's the person that's asking the questions that's in control of the conversation. Curious questions, empathetic questions, courageous questions. Curious questions, empathetic questions, courageous questions. Ladies and gents, I've been Phil Jones. It's been a privilege to play with you today.
Okay. Wasn't that amazing? So good. Like I want to go to his YouTube, by the way. He's got little short videos that have all those little scripts and stuff. But how powerful is the sentence that because of the fact that you said blank, you want blank, I'm going to recommend blank to achieve whatever, right? I love that verbiage. But I think the things he was teaching in that are echoing everything we were talking about. So, and I didn't go over with Ruby, Corky, and Erica anything that they were going to say tonight. Like that Phil Jones presentation was completely separate from whatever they were going to say. And so how wonderful is it that, you know, one of the top trainers in the industry about how to do business is echoing training on stuff that we have right here on our team that leaders are doing, and it's working, you know, that really taking the time to be curious about someone's life, relate to them, help them understand how what we offer could be helpful to them, and partnering together to solve that or work against that obstacle or find a solution to that. And then just being bold enough to make the ask, like Erica was saying, be confident in that. Like if I'm here to offer you a solution, I need to confidently offer that and ask that question. Whether that be just asking them if they are open to exploring what you have to offer, or if it's asking them to take the next step, right? you know, giving a summary of like, hey, this is what we talked about, and because you said blank, 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 I would recommend blank, 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 right? Do you feel ready to take the next step? Or the next step would be to whatever, place your order. Like, do you feel ready to do that? Or what are your thoughts on taking the next step right now? Whatever that question, courageous question might be. I encourage you to think about those critical conversations that he's talking about. Find ways to talk to people in your life face to face about what we have here at Plexus, whether it be the products or the opportunity, but think about what those conversations are going to be like beforehand and make sure that we don't show up and throw up, like he was saying. Like, show up and they're like, yeah, tell me more. And we're just like, "Bleh, here's all the things about all the things." And they're like, whoa, 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 that was a lot, you know? And, you know, I think that we're really excited and I love our enthusiasm, but allowing other people to understand how our products and opportunity can relate to and benefit them in bite-sized portions is the way to go, and asking those curious questions along the way to really understand, and sometimes using that feel, felt, found method. Hi, Penny. Everyone say hi, baby Penny. Baby Penny, she's not a baby. I don't know why I said that. Anyway, but if anyone has any last things to share or little tidbits that they got out of the Phil Jones video or anyone's chats that they talked about tonight, you can go ahead and unmute and share your takeaways if you want. Otherwise, that's all I have. Or any questions.
So you said our next training, like team meeting and training, is the first,
It's going to be
When-
the
the
Tuesday,
second,
so,
the
yeah,
second Tuesday.
yes.
Will that be at the same time, the
Mhm.
10th at 7 p.m.
Yes.
Pacific?
Mhm.
Mary, write that down.
Yeah, absolutely, write that down. The 10th and 20th.
Yeah.
The 10th
Okay,
and 20th,
perfect.
thank you.
Okay.
And reminder, we have the 15-minute health focused, product focused messenger event. So it's inside of a Facebook Messenger chat. It's just a messenger chat thread. And I'll highlight the gut health system triplex, the weight loss system, which is weight loss basics, as well as companion products that people could put along with those, and then those little quick 1-minute video testimonies. So it's going to be real quick little event. So anyone you have that you've been talking to about Plexus, ask if they're interested in checking that out. It's super quick, and we'll offer them some more context and actual real testimonies of people who have experience on the products, and then get them added to that. That is going to be Thursday evening at 6 p.m. So, and it's a great thing to be able to
I have a question.
follow up with that. Yeah.
Do we, as far as like the messenger events, is there one made up already that is more focused on the like gut brain and like anxiety, that kind of stuff done up yet?
That's a great question. We are actually making one for next month, specifically for anxiety and mood. So that will be awesome and a wonderful thing to invite to. I could maybe even tell you what day it's going to be on. I think it's going to be on the 12th of October.
Okay.
If it ends up on the 11th, you know, I'm not running it. Jody McComas will be running that one, but you will see a team page post about that. Every month at the start of the month, I try to get our team calendar or with the save the dates up in that elite page. So it'll be on there, whatever date it lands on, but it's going to be somewhere around the 11th and 12th. And it is specifically going to highlight gut brain axis, mood and anxiety, depression, stuff like that. So I'm glad you brought that up. So look forward to that and be thinking about who you want to invite to that as well. All right. Any other questions?
Sorry, I have one thing
Yeah.
that I thought of really quickly. Sorry. I did a coffee with a friend of mine, and it also went along with the training that we had someone. I'm kind of like Erica, there's so many, you know, they kind of all blend together. But it hit me that we're not somebody's hero. I don't know if you've all heard that training, but we're not somebody's hero. And actually, it really made me stop and think. And when this woman was sharing with me, and she said, I don't share what I'm sharing with you with anyone, you know, and I actually cried just because she trusted me enough to tell me. But at the same time, I'm thinking, I'm not her hero, but how can I direct her to help herself and be her own hero versus me trying to come to her rescue? And I think that's important with our conversations as well, is not trying to be someone's hero, but trying to let them be their own hero in that situation, but that we're also in a really privileged position of where somebody is sharing something very personal, their health, their wellness. And so I think just respecting people's place, you know, in their sharing. Anyway, I just thought of that. Like,
I
we're
love
not their
that.
hero. Let
And
them
that's so
let them be
important.
their own.
Absolutely. And that's so important in conversation and in the content that we share too. A wonderful book that reminded me of is called Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. I believe he has a podcast, and he's probably got a YouTube channel and stuff as well. So you could take little bites and snippets of that, but his whole thing is about storytelling in your marketing. And I hope I won't have this go any much longer, but his whole thing is that they are the hero of the story. And you'll notice in a lot of stories and fairy tales and things, there's the main character who has a struggle, right? And then they go along and they meet some type of guide who offers them advice or direction or tools or a map or something, right? We are the guide in the story. And then they go on and they have kind of a turning point, right? There's some kind of tipping point in the story where stuff starts to go their way and then they follow along to the happy ending. But we're just the guide that kind of inserts in and says, here are the tips for what you need to be successful, or here's the map, the roadmap to get you where you want to go, and kind of offering that to them. That is the place that's the role that we should take on. Exactly. We are not the hero of the story. They are the hero of the story. We're here to offer assistance and guidance along the way. And so that reminded me of that book, Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. He's a good person to listen to his podcast as well. Awesome. Okay. All right, guys. I'll let us all go because we're running a little late, but this was a fantastic discussion. Thank you to everyone who shared tonight. And I hope that you found the Phil Jones training helpful and go seek out his info. Have a wonderful evening. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.